Hi, my name is Daniel Hayashi, and this presentation is on how we can trust the capacity of the next generation or this generation to disentangle itself from the embroilment of the social divide. So first, I think we need to look at why we don't trust the next generation to have capacity. Looking at it, we can probably look right at the readiness for that transition into adulthood. Further than that is the negative expectations we have of them and the values that they don't have instilled in them. So to help instill this trust that we need to have in the next generation starts with us as educators. We need to help them change the society's perspective of them, educate them on how to be responsible adults, instill self-fulfilling prophecies, and establish core values to help them further along. So the first thing I believe we need to do as educators is help them change their identities to be one of their own, for them to believe who they really are and not who society thinks they are, and then to share with others who they should be seen, how they should be seen as. We as educators can not only help them in the classroom with the specific subjects that we teach, but help them teach responsibilities that they will need to see or use later on as the adults. Responsibilities here listed are not limited to them, but are just some examples that we can use to help them make better choices in the future. Same thing here for skills that they will definitely need to use in the workforce to help make the transition that much easier and more successful in those fields. The expectation that we have put on our students has shown to be very impactful. When we put high expectations on a student to achieve success, it has shown to be most beneficial to them. While on the other hand, when we put low expectations, we see a decrease in performance for them. This quote we get from Lawrence Steinberg's book, Adolescence. I quote, "Teacher expectations have a cumulative long-term impact on students' achievement, lowering the performance of students whose teacher perceive them as less capable than they actually are." So this just reiterates what I talked about before, that by having low expectations, we will get less out of our students. When we put high expectations on them, though, we will see generate more success. This slide, I believe, also has a lot of importance. Even though it was one of the points, I believe it helps us get the buy-in from the adolescents that will help them make that transition that much more smoothly. And the buy-in that I'm talking about is us explaining the why of why we're teaching all these things. Why is it important to be responsible, to think this way? It helps them create those values that are very important in their adulthood, which they can base their philosophies and have a solid foundation to go off of. So the quote I have here talks about family interaction, but I think it can go much more deeply than that. I think it'll be used in our classroom setting where we are teaching them subject matter, but also why we teach and the values that we get from that, why we think the interactions we have in the classroom can be very important to not only in the class, but in the real world outside of that. So the quote goes, "Adolescents whose parents engage them in discussion, elicit their point of view, and practice authoritative parenting display more advanced reasoning than their peers." And other products that we get from that, as I wrote down below that, is desired social behavior, which is something we hope for with all these values that we teach and educational values that we present to them. To sum everything up, why we can trust the next generation to get rid of the divide of society is by allowing them to create new identities of who they really are. Educate them on how to be responsible adults and to develop appropriate work skills. Set high expectations as educators that they can reach for, and then getting them to understand and buy into the values that we feel that are important.